most people, when they do something that you don't like or something wrong, they apologise, don't they? Yeah, I'm sorry. Not everyone does though, do they? What happens when you come across a person who cannot apologise to you for their actions? Okay, so in this video we're going to look at a certain type of personality. Okay, we're going to discuss this manipulative type of personality and how we can actually best manage them. Yeah, because manipulators can be very good at damaging our self-worth. They can be very good at making us second guess ourselves, and they can be very good at projecting their bad behaviours onto us. Now, you may find that you know someone like this. It may even be a partner, yeah, or it could be a sibling or a parent or a friend. So what are these behaviours? Well, there are a certain type of people who are unable to self-reflect, okay? They are unable to look at their behaviour and feel remorse for it. That doesn't mean they're not aware of their bad behaviour, but they will justify their bad behaviour and they will blame you for it. You made me act like this. Yes? Okay. Now, in a lot of my videos I talk about being conscious and unconscious. Okay? Now, someone who is working from their consciousness is someone who is able to reflect on themselves, yeah? So I always say that we can never stop growing, yeah? So at the moment, for example, I've been reflecting on my self-sabotaging behaviours, my fear of failure, my people-pleasing, how it can damage me, how it can damage people around me, and that willingness to accept that there's a side of myself that I'm not completely happy with. Okay, so that's working consciously from a conscious place. When I refer to people who are unconscious, yes, that's that type of person is someone who is reactive, highly emotional, okay? They don't have an ability to reflect on their actions and how their actions affect other people. They are not willing to take that responsibility. A lot of how they act is wrapped up in their ego, okay? So their ego is like how they see themselves, how they want other people in the world to see them. Yes, and if you dare dent that ego, you will feel their wrath, okay? Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about someone who is thinking from a conscious space and someone who is acting unconsciously. So why can't people apologise when they've done something wrong? Because they are not willing to face their own actions. They are not willing to accept that they did something that might have caused another person harm, because this will dent their ego. Yeah? I'm not like that. Now, people like this may even wrap themselves up as holy people. Yeah, they might proclaim themselves as a devout Christian who goes to church every week, who will quote you passages from the Bible even though they have no understanding of what those passages actually mean. And they will use that as a way to prove to you, I am holy. Yeah? How can you possibly say that my behavior is bad when I am a holy person? Yet they're very clever at finding ways to deflect. Yeah? Now, when you get into an argument or a disagreement with this type of person, okay, they may accuse you of a behavior or doing something that they actually do themselves. Often people like this, the unconscious person, can really reveal their secret side, the side to themselves that they want to remain hidden, by their defensiveness and by their blaming. They will blame you without any fear of any sort of, they have no qualms in doing so for the behaviours that they actually have themselves. Okay? And when you start to recognise that, that's when you can detach. Okay? Because the worst thing is when someone's doing that to you and you are taking what they are saying as a truth. And that can be very damaging to your self-esteem. Yeah? And manipulators can be very, very, very clever. So I'm trying to think of an example. This is where I sometimes think maybe I should script my YouTube. I won't, but so for example, they might accuse you of taking something. They might say, did you steal that money from my mother? And you're thinking, what? I would never steal anything in my life. I would never steal, especially even especially from your own parent. Yeah? Well, that may well be something that they are truly capable and have done. Yeah? So just remember that when your body reacts, oh my gosh, how can they say that about me? Think again. Think. Actually, that could be something that they themselves are doing. Okay? That might not be the best example, but I'm just trying to highlight how manipulators can behave. Manipulators are also very good at surrounding themselves with people who will keep that ego inflated. They don't want anybody to challenge them. Yeah? And you will find that the manipulator, when challenged, will become furious and really angry because suddenly someone is questioning their behavior. And the last thing that person wants to do is come face to face with their own bad behaviour. And so that person will banish, they may block, they will not speak to, cut anyone off who dares to challenge them on their actions. Okay? So they will surround themselves with people who enable their bad behaviours. They will surround themselves with people who will quietly just sort of let them get on with it, and they won't challenge them. That might even be a partner, a parent. Yeah, I have experienced that myself, where I've had a mother say to me, oh no, we don't say anything. Yes, giving me a little warning not to challenge that person's behaviour. Yeah, that's who they will surround themselves with, because they want to keep that ego inflated, and they do not want anyone seeing the truth. So how do we cope with people like that? Yeah, because I've come across people like that in my life, and I look back at times where I've had angry exchanges with someone. Now, I've learnt through experience, and I often say, you can't reason with an unreasonable person. Yeah. And that has given me a big breathing space, because in the past, where I have challenged someone's behaviour, yeah, and I have had anger thrown at me, and I will try and reason with them and get them to see what, how can you possibly say this? How can you did this. Gaslight, no I didn't. But you've got to see that what you're doing is wrong. Gaslight. And all you are doing is getting angrier and angrier, okay? And more upset. And I came to realise that actually there's no point. There is no point trying to challenge someone like that, because they will refuse to look in the mirror. They will refuse. So what can you do then? Well, actually, the best course of action is simply to walk away or be silent. You may have someone who will be constantly texting you, yeah? Constantly. They want your reaction, because actually they feed off your emotional reaction. Yeah? It doesn't matter if they're upsetting you. In fact, that's what they want. They want you to feel upset, because whilst you're in a highly emotional state, they are managing to deflect all their bad behaviours onto you. Yeah? Yeah, you're highly emotional, they're winning. Okay? So try and remember that. I mean, I don't want to talk about abusers, because I am not a trained therapist and someone who has that training to discuss about abusive people. But you know, there are scenarios where, for example, if the man is abusive and the woman is being abused, he will use her highly emotional state and say to other people, well, look at her. Can you, why are you blaming me? Look at her. You can clearly see she's a mess. Yeah? So they're very clever. Okay? So what do? Yeah, we remain silent. We don't react from our unconscious state, our emotional state. Yeah? You may feel like the need to justify yourself or right the wrongs, yeah? But you're doing it to the wrong person, okay? Because you're not gonna fix them, okay? Your best course of action is to remain silent and to remain composed. Yeah? What you need to do is your self-worth is nothing to do with them. Yeah? Your self-worth is in here, and you are going to protect that. You are not going to let an angry or highly emotional person disturb your peace. They don't have the right to do that, okay? So you breathe, yeah? You recognize that their actions are getting you into an emotional state, okay? So you might be having fear, this is so unjust, they are so mean, how could they do this to me? They can't even apologize, right? Bring those highly charged emotions out of you, right? Okay? And just park them there. Just put them there. And those emotions are all over the place, but just put them there, okay? Breathe, empty your mind, empty your body of those feelings. Yeah? Their bad behavior is not going to affect you. And you won't react, and you will go about your day. Because, you see, a lot of us want to fix people, don't we? Yeah. Especially if you're a people pleaser. You come across people who you maybe feel sorry for, you compensate their bad behaviours because of this, that or the other, all the things they've told you, the terrible things that have gone on in their life, and you compensate for that. And you think that you can help them, and you think that you can fix them, but you can't. The only person who can fix them is themselves. The only person who can do that is them. They have to be prepared to face things in their lives that they will feel uncomfortable facing. And if they're not prepared to do that, they won't change. And the likelihood is especially if they're an older person, they're never going to change. So you have to realize that there are people who are working from different emotional intelligences, yeah? So if you're thinking from your conscious, if you're making a choice to behave or act in a certain way because you know that that is a reasonable and right way to act, you are working from your conscious, yeah? And your emotional intelligence will be up here. But if someone is not able to act from a conscious place, if someone is only able to act from an unconscious place where everything is a trigger and everything is highly emotional, and they are not prepared to take any what's the word, they're not to accept anything for their actions something like that, yeah, then they're going to be working from an unconscious place. So their emotional intelligence is down here. And sadly, as much as we would like that to change, their emotional intelligence is never going to match yours. So you have to just look at them and you have to realize that actually they are living in their subconscious. They are unable to reflect. They are unable to take any accountability for their actions. They will blame, they will deflect, they will project, yeah? And I'm not going to let someone like that, like a loose cannon, emotional loose cannon, disturb my peace or dent my self-worth. Because people like that are like emotional vampires, yeah? They will try and suck your energy out of you, yeah? They will suck your strength, your happiness, your positivity, because they don't have any of that. They will suck it out of you, okay? Until you're like, boom, you face planted the floor in exhaustion. But you're not going to do that. You're going to recognize that that is who they are, and you can't change them, and you are not going to let them take away your peace or drain you. Okay? Whew, that was a heavy one, wasn't it? Anyway, I hope this video may have helped someone out there, and if you are dealing with anyone like that, yeah, just observe them and don't let them in, okay? Don't let them in, yeah? We can't let other people who, you know, don't have the emotional intelligence to improve themselves ruin our lives, okay? Because this is our life, yeah? Yeah? We're not going to let them do that, are we? No, 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 no. Thank you so much, as always, for being here. Please do comment. I would love to hear from you, and I will always reply. And do please subscribe. Come and join us, and we can just learn the tools of emotional resilience to keep ourselves on a path of peace and happiness. Lots of love and light as always to you, and so much love. Okay, take care. Goodbye.